Hello and welcome to the Sanctuary, a safe space to speak from the heart. I'm your host, Israel, and my guest today, super talented yogi, dancer, and someone I've been dying to talk to since I saw her in the Submotion Orchestra video. Thank you so much for coming to the Sanctuary today, Letty Mitchell.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yo, okay, I'm just gonna start where it started for me. So, Submotion Orchestra is a band I love. I love, 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 love. And they had a song, It's Hard to Stay. I, and here's the thing about that song. It's really, really beautiful, but it's also really, really sad, right? So, and so I saw the video and I wasn't sure what I was expecting. But then, these two amazing dancers are telling this beautiful yet sad story through their bodies. And I was like, who are these people? It was beautiful. So how did that happen?
Oh, that seemed like years ago, but thank you for bringing it up again. Yeah, so I'm still in contact with Theo, who choreographed, and that's who I was dancing with, really. And we're very close friends, so I think working together that intimately and moving in that way is phenomenal.
Right. So, like, have you always danced? Like, how did you get into dancing?
Okay, yeah. So I started dancing very young, one of those little toddlers who always dance. So from the community centres where I used to study the jazz and the ballet and all the commercial classes that were on the weekends and after school clubs. I think really it began when I went to Brit School in London. So that was the age of 16. That was a good couple of years of coming from like an academic kind of school into a place where you're amongst like-minded people, all talented in their own artistry, getting together. And that really inspired me really to train. Then through Laban, I did a few years at a degree, and then I did a postgraduate degree, and it just kind of went from there, really.
So, like, the Brit School, is it one of those schools you have to audition to enter?
Yeah, you do.
Do you remember your audition?
I do remember. I briefly remember some kind of improvisation that I had to do, but apart from that, I can't. I would never do auditions now. I think I'm too scared. When you're younger, I had no fear. I think I just went into these things like, and like now when you're slightly older, you're like, but no, it's fine.
Why though? Like, I mean, you have all these set of skills and these experiences over the years, so like, it should be like, okay, I'm gonna deliver this, right? I think.
In terms of the movement stuff,
Right, right.
yeah. I mean, I think in terms of where my career went, the reason why I'm saying it like that is because I spent like a big chunk of my career studying the art of yoga, and for me, for some reason, I allowed dance to kind of go onto one side slightly, and it's only kind of now in the last couple of years that I'm realizing that actually they're completely integrated, and movement and free
Oh.
movement, whether you call it dance or whether you just call it yoga or whether you just call it movement or mind body connection, is like I realized that what I was getting is exactly the same thing. I was in my body, I was moving with my from my heart, and it became the same thing for me.
How did that discovery come about?
Hmm. I think just through time, through looking at yourself, through I think through more and more peeling back the layers that stop you from really focusing on what is it that I want to do? What is it that makes me feel joy? And I think back in the day when I was younger, that's why I said about this confidence. That's all I knew. That's all I knew. I just had dance and that's all I wanted to pursue. And then I realized there were other aspects of my being that I was interested in. And then
Mm.
I realized, although that's the kind of the data, the information part of it, I already kind of knew that because I was in the flow state, if you know what I mean. I was in the creative flow. So I think it just comes about through practice. Yoga is a practice, right? This is a journey. It's a practice, and the more kind of self work that you do, the more you kind of go more and more towards what brings you joy, I think.
Mm. Let's talk a bit about the Brit School, cause like it's a pretty big deal. I know you went through there years ago, but it's kind of a big deal. You get into this school. How was it? How was it for you to experience the years that you're in the Brit School?
My experience of the Brit School was amazing. I always look back at that time when I was 16 to 18 and I enjoyed myself. I was allowed to be creative. Before that, what we were doing, our GCSEs, and, it's very academic. And if you did want to study something like dance or music, it would have to be a hobby in the evening. And now we were arriving in our academic space and we were just doing what we love. For me, that was my perspective of it. So although it was hard and it wasn't an easy process, I think that age and my perception of that time was really, really fun. Really
Mm.
fun.
Mm. And what are some things that stuck with you over the years from the Brit School?
Mm, like memories.
Right.
There's loads. I mean, I think the kind of gems of it is some of my best friends. Yeah, including TJ actually. I have a lot of friends that actually weren't in my year. I think I love them. I gotta search for them. But I think if I was to talk, if I was to talk about the gems, obviously it was the training and the inspiration that I was around. But it was meeting like-minded people at that age, which you can continue to grow and evolve with throughout your
Mm.
adulthood.
Right. And the thing about dancing, I can't dance. Well, like
And
what you do. I know, you keep saying it's
we love to
movements,
dance.
but right, so I'm watching like a TV show of dancing, and one thing that always stands out to me with dancers is like there's so much discipline because like you have hours and hours of just doing the same thing, and then there's so much physicality involved, right? Like you're making your
Yeah.
body do these amazing things. So like while you were still at the Brit School, like were there some times where it was just too much?
Um, I mean, you're talking like a lot of time years ago. I mean, that was like a very long time ago. So, I mean, I don't think it was mentally that stressful. I mean, the challenge of, like you said, being in your body and working your body from morning to evening
Right.
is not easy. Especially when it's not so much nowadays, but you definitely used to get, oh, you're studying dance, like it's not hard. You're studying, oh, it's
Mm,
not hard. And like really, like some universities and some courses, I know that people used to go to like one lecture a week, and then that's it for the week. And I was like, oh my God, if only we had to arrive at like 7 and we had to leave at a certain time, and it was hardcore on the body, and we had so I'm not saying there's better or worse, but it was demanding on the body. But I think at that time when you're youthful and you're inspired, then it's all part of the journey.
mm. Now, talking of that journey, how did it lead you to yoga?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from the Brit School was quite young, studying more into my degree and my postgraduate degree, and then when I was doing a bit more of my professional work, I guess yoga's always been something that was applied during our training, more so in some institutions and companies than others, but we definitely knew what yoga was. And I used to practice, but more so in terms of body conditioning. Um, I guess I had an operation, I had a hernia, and it was kind of in amongst of a couple of contracts. And what I decided to do is when I was going to come back from my kind of operation, I wanted to kind of supplement, the times when I wasn't dancing, I wanted to supplement with like maybe teaching yoga or studying a bit more yoga. Because at that time I was working in bars, so I was doing more the bar work and like the late night and studying in the day. Yeah, so that's really how it came about.
Mm. And then like so you found yoga, it made you better. At what point did you think, okay, this is something that's working for me, I'd love to share with other people?
Yeah, I think it's just the more I delve into this work. I mean, it's been years and years now, and the more you like, and I guess I speak from my perspective, the more I've sincerely delved into looking at myself, the more this philosophy just unravels to me, and it's phenomenal, And you realize that, like, even studying it and learning and practice for years and years, it's like the tip of the iceberg. And the evolution of this practice comes with self development. The more you become aware of this yourself, the more you do feel like you're growing. And it became really interesting to me. I mean, I've suffered from different episodes of depression, anxiety, and it became very much like I was going into the same kind of low emotions maybe every year, until one day I was like, you know what? Why is this happening all the time? Like, in a certain way, in a certain scenario, I would like to understand my emotions a little bit more and my mental
Mm,
health a little bit more, so that I can learn about this stuff. And it was really about me. Yeah, it was really about how can I help myself. And then when you said about the question about sharing, I think it's a natural evolution. If you find something that has worked for you, you found something that has pulled you out of the darkness, then all you would want to do is say, you know what, there are different tools that you can offer, like, to other people and help them. And that's where I think I'm the stage of my career now, is that this is what I want to do. Like, I'm quite confident at work because they have worked for me, and the way that I share it and practice is not for everybody, but I'm not unique in the fact that it has worked for me, and I'm pretty sure it will work for a few other people as well.
there's that whole I did this thing, it works for me, and if you've experienced something similar to me and you do this thing, there's a very good possibility it's going to work for you too. So,
Mhm.
you've done all this training dancing, and then did you go to any yoga training?
Yeah, so I guess within a few years of my professional career, when I decided I did a initial training in London, and I think that, yeah, 2011, 12, I think. Um, just to get a certificate. I wanted a teacher. I was practicing a lot before then. And I was teaching movement and somatic movement as well. And then since then, I've taken quite a few courses as well, and been interested in not just one specific style of yoga as well, just learning from different styles. And the moment I'm really interested in more of the mind aspect and mindfulness aspect of it. So that's where I'm going with it now. And I think when I feel inspired to learn a different subject, then I seek that knowledge. So that's how kind of my courses has been going.
Right, right. And that's something I love how it says, yoga and mindfulness teacher. So you teach people yoga, but you bring mindfulness in it. And especially these, like just globally with the pandemic, mindfulness is something that is really, really important. But you started doing this work before COVID started. What things were you doing? And then when COVID changed, what did you have? When COVID came, what did you have to change with your yoga and mindfulness practice?
Okay, so during lockdown, I think that's when I became completely interested in mindfulness. It's where, I mean, even what I was offering on a kind of like a career teacher level, I do teach dynamic classes, absolutely. But during the time of lockdown, I kind of really had a sense that yes, it's important to move the body, but a lot more people are struggling mentally. Like, we need to get through this, we need to understand this. And this right now is more important than the handstand. This right now of learning how to be still in our deep emotions right now is more important than doing certain things. Not saying completely, I'm just saying in balance when it was really
Mm,
heavy. When I and and again, I'm saying this because that wasn't the case for everybody. I knew a lot of my friends that they really had to work their body because that was their way of kind of releasing and finding that connection. But for me personally, it was like immediately, it's like slap in the face to say this is an opportunity. um what is there, what is presented with me now, and what can I do with the situation that I'm in now. And I think when that happened, it was like, okay, I can't go out for inspiration anymore. I have to sit with myself and kind of find my
mm,
inspiration in within myself.
mm. Mm. And with your mindfulness practice, with your mindfulness practice, what are some things you do?
Very simple. I think the act of mindfulness is really about just being aware that you have for me it's overcut, so a power of awareness. So I think that's the key, is that I think what mindfulness allows is us an understanding that there are a lot of stuff that happens to us, right, externally, that we're out of our
Hmm.
control, but we have an awareness, and that just means we can focus our attention onto something that we choose.
Mm.
And I think we often forget about it. It's so simple, but it's understanding, when we are in those states of anxiety and depression, when the mind is going crazy, that actually, under all of that, we have the power to bring our attention onto something that is going to serve us. And in terms of like mindfulness and techniques, where we create like really simple things to do, it would be like, can I sit and can I just focus on my breath? Or can I sit and can I just open my ears and be receptive to sound? And the mind is going to go crazy, and it's not about that, because we're going to drift off, but it's the practice of just doing that simple thing. Can I, every time my mind floats away, can I have the willpower to be like, no, I have power of my awareness, I'm going to focus back on my breath? And it's simple. And I think the practice is so simple that sometimes the brain overcomplicates it, right? Because everything's going on. But I'm not saying it's easy. This stuff isn't easy, but it is
Mm.
accessible and it's available. And we can practice.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'll come back to mindfulness and yoga, but let's talk about some of the companies that you've worked with. Like Nike, Block, Puma, Adidas. Um, how do you decide on what company you work with? Between your values and the mindfulness you practice.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, in honesty, when I was starting, I was kind of saying yes to everything. The exposure of having the opportunity to share this stuff for me was so excited that if companies came and said, can you speak at this event? I would absolutely make the most of that opportunity, because, like, yes, I have an opportunity to meet people, to feel the vibrate. And a lot of it is I have an opportunity for people to see who I am, and what I have to share. I mean, I am much more cautious, not cautious, but mindful, I guess, in terms of companies that I do work with now. Um, just in terms of, I'm on a mission. We're all on different missions in terms of this lifetime, and if certain brands or certain ethos doesn't really complement that mission of like sharing love and exclusivity and equality and diversity, then which I was very mindful of before, but now it's like, no, like, I have the power to make my own way, and I don't need necessarily the companies to kind of use me if they're
Mm.
inauthentic in their kind of morals, if you know
Mm.
what I mean. And for me, that becomes very clear now. Energy work is amazing. You just have a sense, I mean, most people are very intuitive, and it's just about listening to your intuition. And if you're vibing or somebody, like when I met you, I was like, let's go. And when we met, and then you're like, you made me laugh. And I was like, you know what? I can get you. I understand where
Mm.
you're coming from. And yeah, that's
Right.
what I do.
Talking of the vibes thing, like I mean, I guess I don't know much about energy work. It's all new to me. But something that stood out to me, reading about you, is how you see, using movements, you make the mind and the body come together to work to make the world better. What, wanna share a bit about that?
What is that about? Yeah. When I say this simplicity, so the purpose for me, again, I have to speak from my perspective, because I think you have to realize even the philosophy of yoga. it's coming from people's perspectives. They're coming from their teachers' viewpoints, and I have to be very clear. This is my own journey, and this is what I kind of. Um, so for me, the process of yoga has been more and more, especially the more I've been practicing, about stripping back. So, like I said before, it's a lot at the moment of this idea of consumerism, and I'm lack and sparse, that we need yoga to add something, add. You know, whether it's a physical strength, whether it's I want to be here and not think. And for me, it's about the complete opposite. It's being able to create a relationship with your awareness that you are you're searching deeper than all of that stuff, because all of that stuff is just stuff. It's beliefs, it's neural pathways in your brain, it's narrative, it's stuff. So in terms of when I talk about dance, you know, like this, like mindfulness, when you move, when you dance, all you're thinking about is the music in your body. Yeah, your mind's not thinking about I got to get this in Sainsbury's, and then I got to go and get my coffee, and then I got, you know, your brain is thinking
Mm.
about your body, right? And then there's a connection. Now, when there's a connection of your mind and your body, you are present. Yeah, because in this lifetime, you can't be anywhere without this body. So if I feel my body, I know that I'm
Mm.
here.
Mm.
And then when we're present, we vibrate so much, and we're in the vibration of love. And that's why I say, in terms of how it can radically resonate and vibrate
Mm.
globally, is the simplicity of that understanding. The understanding that all the other stuff is just stuff. Yeah, we do have to have a little bit to get through this life, but it's just stuff, and it's just thought, and it's just objects, and it makes us feel good, and we're here to enjoy the fruits of this world, and take care of it. But at the end of it, we are love, and you are love, and we're exactly the
Right.
same thing.
You know, someone is going to say, like, you know, you are at this level of enlightenment that they might never attain. You're already shaking your head. Yeah, you know,
I love this.
right,
It's
right, because, you know, they'll
crazy.
be like, oh, you know,
You know what? You know what I would say to that? I would say to that, I'd take them for a coffee, and then you'll see how crazy I am. Like, I love, first of all, I'm not enlightened. And second of all, I also speak about the fact that I am great. Like, just talk to my sister, my partner. Like, I'm not all there sometimes, but I'm embracing the fact. I'm embracing the fact that this is my
mm,
truth. This is how I feel. This is how much. This is my
mm,
perspective of this world, and my view counts just as much as any other views counts. And that's all it is. It's kind of the sense that, you know, it's a building up an inner self love and inner
mm,
self confidence, where you can stand into a room, and this is not by force. This is not by force. This is not um, by ego, because ego can show its face and be very arrogant. It's nothing to do with that. It's being able to stand in a room and say, you know what? I had this experience yesterday. Did anybody else have the experience? Because I'm pretty sure most of people that would say I'm enlightened will have the same experiences that I have, but they don't speak
mm,
about it. Or they haven't been told to listen to it. Or you've lived in a culture where they said, no, that's wrong, it makes
mm,
you feel mad. Whereas you take yourself out of that environment, you put yourself within your tribe, and you realize you're not alone. You're literally just feeling and vibrating, and you're awakening to a lot of other
mm,
feelings in the body. And that's literally what it is. That doesn't mean that I don't act like a madwoman often. Do you know what I mean? And I do have a bad tongue, you know, and but I'm definitely, I can hands up, and I'm confident to say I've come a
mm,
long, long way. And I think I need to kind of really respect in that I've come a long, long way in terms of this work. And I think sometimes you do have to stop and think and be like, wow, well, how was I like a few
mm,
years ago?
mm,
You know? And then because you stopped, the other day I stopped, I was like, I was in such a whirlwind, and I stopped, and I realized that everything I wanted, I literally have underneath my feet. Like, and it was a moment of gratitude. And this is all it is. This work just provides you with that. It provides you with these moments of overwhelming gratitude to be like, thank you, I'm okay, I'm on the right path, and I trust in myself. That's all it provides. It's not about levitating, although I'd love to. I try and I continue to work my brain, so I try, and I'm sure people can. But let's make this about the modern day now. What can we use about now? And yeah, it provides you a lot of things, and it's not complicated. It just takes a little bit of perseverance to go beyond
Mm.
your comfort zone to make a change.
Well, okay, thanks thanks for sharing that. Because yeah, when you talk and I listen, it's like holy shit, like you've been on this journey forever. But something you mentioned that came to me is, when you are in your tribe and basically like your community, and that's something you cultivate a lot, right? Because one of the things you do is like you have these Zoom sessions. Like, were you doing in person before the pandemic? And do you find that now with it being on Zoom, your community even grew wider?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I talk about tribe, I would like to say as well, it's like a thing that I'm learning myself because if I speak really openly, I feel like a lot of my lifetime, although I have beautiful friends and family and they all understand me and I understand at a certain level, you know, there are certain friends and family that if I speak about this stuff, it's not very they're not interested, not in a bad way, but if you know what I mean. And I've realized looking like back in the day and years that actually now I'm in adulthood and I can be like, no, I have a bit of self confidence. I'm interested in this, and then all it requires is a little bit of speaking of truth to find your click. And that's why I say, and that's why I decided over lockdown is to be the person to initiate that because what I found is that I was getting responses and questions from people that I knew, like in lockdown, people knew clients and friends that are around the world, but they're all interested in the same thing. Had the same questions, and I was like, wow. Imagine if all these women and men and all these people just had a space where you can
Mm,
just, I'll talk about it, and then you'll get people like, oh, I get it, or oh, that's what I was thinking of. That I know, because we think about like we all think we're alone in our thinking, but quite often we're not. Quite often
mm,
we're going through the
mm,
same things. We're going through the same things, just different kind of like, and we just have to speak about it to acknowledge, wow,
right.
wow, we're actually quite the same in there. But yeah, in terms of in lockdown, it's really helped me access, people from all around the world, and that's
Mm,
been a real,
mm.
real,
And so,
real
what's like a
blessing.
typical session on your Zoom? Like those? Is it Fridays you do it? I can't recall. What?
So I think the ones you're mentioning is the free
Mondays? Yeah, yeah,
meditation
yeah.
that I do on a Monday. So it's UK time 9. So what I was doing there is it's a up to 20-minute mindful meditation, which I do. Anybody can come. It's free. You can have your camera on and off. Things are starting to move now in terms of London, so people are going to work and can't necessarily access that live. But I do record and put them on
Mm,
my website in case people can't make it. But the kind of format of it for me was very, very casual. I didn't want it to be too strict on my behalf because I was still dealing with the effects of lockdown myself. So and also what I could offer. And I just talk for about. Sometimes I talk for a minute. Sometimes I talk for 10 minutes on maybe a subject. It could be about yoga philosophy or mental health awareness, or maybe it's been a lot about energy work, like what is energy and what is consciousness, what is the subconscious. It's anything really that I just speak about, and then we would just meditate for 20 minutes, and then
yeah.
we'd see each other the following week. So it's been beautiful, and the
Yeah.
community's been really lovely.
Doing
Yeah.
that, especially during the lockdown, I'm sure it's very important for some people, mentally, talking of mindfulness also. But like now life is opening up. Things like what you do with block, like is it still gonna be online or is it gonna be more in person now?
Well, I think both. I think the studios in London have only opened on Monday, so they've only opened 4 days. So we're gonna have to have just to see like the appetite to come into studios. I mean, I know a few people that are still wanting to do things online, but I do feel like there's an appetite to actually get back into person and do these classes. So I think the nature of the industry has radically changed in that I think there's a lot more accessibility on demand and live classes that are going to
Mm.
be online. I don't think that's going to go away necessarily, but I do feel like there's something you don't get from live sessions, right? Being around people and yeah, just being with people really and moving with
Exactly.
people.
And
It's a
that
very,
leads me to
very
this
different
question.
experience.
So on Block on your Instagram, there was a video of you just like, maybe like a 1 minute clip of your session of what it's like. Of shooting now, what is the process for you? Like how does it feel doing that versus doing it with people in the studio?
Yeah, I mean, I became accustomed to doing things online because I had to, and the nature of us as chameleons, we have to. But I came into this work to be with people, and I found it really hard, if I'm honest, to. I mean, I still do really, but I teach my classes like so close to the camera and it doesn't make a difference. But for me, it's like, oh, but I'm closer to you. And everyone just looks at my, and then I realize what I'm doing. I'm like, sorry, you don't need to see my eyes. But that's what I've been doing. And it's like, I also really have loved, when you're in the studio, and I guess you can absolutely do online and distant healing. But for me, when I was like in the studio, it's like taking
Mm,
people on a journey and meeting people where they are and playing with
right.
different things which you don't get online. So I'm really enjoying this process, this slow
Mm,
process of
mm.
getting back into the studios with
So, do
people.
you ever like just create choreography? I know, you talk more about movements, but do you ever just create choreography again? Because, like, I think, the
Hmm.
Hard to Stay video is some I watch it like every couple of weeks and I don't know why, because I think in my mind it's like this love story of this couple that are not together anymore and then they are trying to go back to what they were before. That's how I see the video. I'm like, okay, I know you say your friend TJ created that, but like, is
Yeah.
choreography something you ever used to do, still do, or it's all about movement, mindfulness now?
Well, I think it's interesting because although I don't think the word choreography and choreographing was ever like a really, really prominent passion. Even when I was studying, I know a lot of friends that were doing choreography along with their dance training. But the funny thing is like I would love to choreograph something now because my understanding of what choreography is very different, and I prefer actually if I take the word the way choreography, I work with essence and feeling and improvisation. So I understand now what I would want to do. I think back in the day in terms of choreography, I wouldn't really know
Mm,
because what do I want to express through that? But in terms of all of my videos, every video I do is improvisation. I
mm.
never ever choreograph. I've never choreographed everything. And a lot of my videos, I don't spend it takes me a couple minutes. If I'm inspired, I just move my body and I feel it and that's been my process. And I think when you talk about choreographing, I would and I am and I'm gonna do this and put it out there. I'd love to see kind
Right.
of my mythology on other bodies. So it's not just me and my camera and my imageries and my but the feeling of it, the philosophy, the mythology of the way that I move, and to create a flow state, to create that meditative state. I would really love to see this on other bodies, and this is where the art stuff comes in. This is where I really want to start doing I am
Oh,
doing. I'm in the
do you want to talk
process of
about
creating
that?
something for that. So yeah. Oh, it's all in idea stages, but I'm absolutely going to be putting my work along with other works, and hopefully we'll get Yeah, it's all
We
in
will,
the.
we will when it's
Maybe
ready.
we'll have
Cause
to have
like,
a
yeah,
second like
yeah, yeah, we
interview when I
totally
have a little bit
should.
more clarity. There you go. And I
Right.
can be like,
Okay.
this is
Cool.
what I
I'll
talk
be sure to
about.
look
That's
out
my
for that.
baby. Yeah.
Cause
So
yeah, I was always
yeah.
thinking, when you
Okay.
move, right, and or maybe it's just me over reading things, but it's like when you move, you are in that movement, whether it's a dance or whatever it is you're doing. And I remember watching that blog clip and thinking, okay, the camera's on you, but it's almost like those things didn't exist and you're just talking to this one person. And it was like, oh wow, wow, wow. Is that like, was I over reading that, or
Yeah.
was that what it was?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do. That's true. And I had to trust in that because like the way that I'm not saying my way is unique because everyone teaches in a unique way, but I loved closing my eyes. Like the way that I teach is that I can feel what you're feeling. So if I know that you're feeling this in your shoulder, I can be able to tell you what you're going to do or what you need to do for that shoulder. So I feel like just through practice and just through practice and the confidence that that's how I verbalize movement through feeling. It means that I kind of have to
Mm,
and practice being able to close my eyes and switch off from the external and be able to trust that right now, when we talked about power of awareness, right now, I need to bring
mm,
all of my power,
mm,
my energy into myself because that's what I want to share. And if I'm focusing too much on external, then all I'm
mm,
sharing is stuff that I memorized, right? That becomes information and data. That's not body intelligence. That's not a sharing. That's not a channeling. That's more, and you need a bit of both. I'm not saying absolutely no. Sometimes I absolutely do more dynamic and the biomechanical bit because I think knowing how your body functions is very important and it changes your world. It really does. So that's also very important. And obviously, if I do that and I'm
right.
holding somebody, I'm not going to close my eyes and like try and get deep
Mm,
into their soul.
mm,
But when
mm.
you need to, there's a
Does it ever
balance
get
of
too
it, right?
much though? Like, the level of connection you have with the people you work with?
Yeah, every day, if I'm honest. But not in a
And how do
bad
you
way.
handle that? Like,
No, I'm being
cause
honest. Like, I'm being honest. I mean, because this stuff is heavy. I think people don't realize
right,
it's not when you open up to the truth, it's like the Matrix. You're opening up to the truth. You're seeing
exactly.
everything,
Like, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not easy. It's not easy going down to the shop when your eyes are open, you're seeing stuff, and you're dealing with your own stuff, and you're like, I haven't quite worked out what's going on. It's hard. And
Mm,
I'm not saying, you know, I would never stop this journey. Like, we have to realize that there is a thing called yin and the yang. And if you do want this stuff, you have to come with this stuff because that's the way that energy works. Everything has an equal opposite. That's how motion works.
mm,
So you can live within the boundaries of a box and only feel a spectrum of emotion that is okay, I'm comfortable. I don't really want to be there because it's like I'm going to stay here. Or you can be like, you know what, if I expand my heart, if
mm,
I'm saying, you know what, I'm going to embrace that I can get what I want in this lifetime, I can live through love, I can help people, that's going to come with a consequence. And the thing is, it's not saying that it will bring you down. It's just saying, now this is where the yoga comes in. This is where you use your tools. You use your stuff that you build. You get your strong body. You get your breath work. You have these tools and things in place because you know that it's coming. You
mm,
know that you need to have the resilience now to deal with both because this is your
mm,
dharma. This is what you're meant to do. Once you're there, and yeah, once you're kind of there and you're understanding that your words have wisdom. I'm not saying mine have necessarily, but I'm just saying, when you understand that our words have wisdom,
mhm,
our words create a vibration, it becomes something like if you're aware of it, then it's up to you. Do you want to take that mission on, or do you want to sit with knowing that I'm aware of all this stuff, but I want to be comfortable? Yeah, because I'm
mm.
happy being comfortable. That's just what you want to. That's what you have to take, really.
Right. Yeah. Because I'm thinking, I mean, it's good you said the Matrix because that, kind of puts it in context because I'm like, doing all these things, opening yourself up, going this deep, it has to be difficult, right? But then I also like that you say how you handle it. So, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to let you go soon, but I need to know though, like so it's mind and body, right? And then there are things you do to take care of your mind, but what are things you do to take care of your body?
Well, I absolutely practice yoga. So I mean, I did the things during during lockdown. Actually, I hired my friend to do PT sessions or like online, and when we could finally meet each other in the park. But mainly it's yoga. I literally do like a dynamic class. And I think, remember, your body is not just made up of your body. Your body is made up of your thoughts. Your body is made up of your food. And I think that's what we also need to remember. We also need to remember, if you're a bit like me and you notice how fly away you are, then in terms of working your body, it's about grounding the body, right? And likewise, if we know a little bit stagnant sometimes and we sit down quite a lot, then this is important to stand up. So it's not about running marathons or anything. It's just about understanding that there's what does your body need?
Mm.
I'm gonna always big up yoga and say yoga will provide you with a lot of stuff that you need to strengthen your body.
Oh man, Letty, thank you so much. I'm just learning so much, like you're opening my mind and eyes to so many things. Okay, I said I was gonna let you go, but I have one more question now.
Of course.
I have one more question. But like when and I don't know like if you ever experienced this, but like being so open, being so elevated, like when things that happen that scare you, how do you handle those?
Okay. The hilarious thing is, right, if my family ever saw this and saw that you called me elevated, they would either be laughing or they would run out the room and be like, "Are you talking about London?" Because the thing is, it's an understand. Sorry, I was just thinking that
Right,
in terms of fear, is it fear you was
right,
talking
yeah.
about? You know, anything. We're a lot of us that when we're in a state of stress, and a lot of us are state in a
Mm,
stress, that basically means you're in a survival mode, means you're living to survive. And you can equate that to when we were doing that in the cavemen days, right? Where everything was on edge, you had to be alert because your life was in danger all the time. I face fear differently when I know that I'm in fight or flight, when I'm in stress, or when I'm not stressed, because it comes up and it shows up in very different things. If I haven't found balance in myself, if I know that I'm overly tired, I'm stressed out, and then I'm dealing with something that's uncomfortable and
mm,
fearful, and I'm not looking after myself, then for me, I get a lot of anxiety. So it's more so that I can't stay still. But that really is a very low level of consciousness. When I sit down and pause and I realize what is happening, then I'm not saying the feelings of fear and feeling uncomfortables don't affect
mm-hmm.
me because I see them and I know that they're there. I'm just giving space not to react
Oh.
immediately. And I think this is the main thing is that quite often what we do, because we're in that survival mode, we get a stimulus, we get information, we react.
Mm,
We get something, we react. There's no space. Yeah, we're on survival, we're on this autopilot.
mm,
What's happening when we slow down is that an information is coming in. Wow, it's hit me. Oh, I'm feeling this.
mm,
Oh, it's making my heart go. But I'm not going to react because I know if I react like this, that's not out of love. And if I react like this, maybe it will help both of us in the thing. I'm not saying I always get that
mm-hmm.
right, but I'm saying this is what it allows you to do. It's the simple things. It's providing space so that these heavy emotions aren't controlling your life. They're not, they're always going to be there, because we're humans and we want to, we don't want to be adverse to feelings. We want to feel. This is the part of our life.
Mm,
But we need, yeah, but we're always going to feel, but it's just how we perceive them, whether we're tied to them, whether we're attaching to them. Yeah, saying that I feel fear, that I'm not, or I feel angry, I'm an angry person. No, in that moment in time, your body reacted through fear or being because you felt
mm.
survival. Give it a little bit of time and then react. And that for me is, again, like I said, it's not always, I don't always get the right balance, and quite often I do overreact. But I think we all develop this level of awareness to recognize, oh, okay, I am accountable to that. I put my hand up.
Mm.
Whereas before you'd think, no, I'm just right, when I'd be like, no, actually, I didn't act. I didn't respond to that. I reacted. And now giving it a bit of space, you know, and that for me, hopefully
You
that answers
totally
your
answered.
question.
All these things you're saying, I'm saying, like, so are you going to write a book now? You got to write a book.
No, the interested is, like, I write and I love to write. Not just poetry and spoken word. I'm in the moment now of like really writing. I want to write about this stuff. And I'm coming from a place where, I'm not a writer. I feel like I can't even spell. Like, I know, but do you know what I mean? It's the case that I need to remember that people see me in this light feeling do this and doing that. But my
Mm,
self growth is that I have to be confident. I've just developed confident of speech. Everybody feels like I'm confident. That's taken a long time.
mm.
Right, I've got that going. So I will do it. And I absolutely will not use this as an excuse, because that could be an excuse as well. But just know it's
All
coming.
right.
There's a lot of
All
things in
right.
the
Okay. So
background.
there's the other choreography thing. There's the book coming. Whenever any of all those come out, it'd be great to have you back in the sanctuary. Letty, thank you so much for sharing and for opening my eyes to so many
Thank you so
things.
much.
It was great to have you in the sanctuary today.
Thank you so much. You got an amazing heart. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.